Picture Miami's neon nights and wild Everglades, where adventure meets secrets. Rachel, a spirited guide, and Oliver, a charming CEO, ignite a romance that's tested by betrayal and corporate games. Will their love survive the lies? Dive into this tale of passion, trust, and twists. Stay tuned, because every moment could change everything. Before we start the story, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. And at the end, don't forget to rate the story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the story. The sun was just starting to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of fiery orange and pink as it reflected off the calm waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Miami Beach, usually buzzing with early morning joggers and tourists snapping photos, felt eerily quiet in this isolated stretch of sand. Waves lapped gently at the shore, but the air was thick with tension, like the calm before a storm. There she stood, Rachel Thompson, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched a crumpled document, her eyes locked on the man in front of her, tears mixed with the salty sea breeze on her cheeks, her voice breaking as she confronted him. "You used me for all of this? This secret deal was meant to destroy my dream?" Oliver Harrington knelt in the sand, his expensive suit rumpled and dusted with grains, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender. His face, usually so composed and commanding as the CEO of a multi-million-dollar empire, now showed a mix of desperation and determination. "Rachel, I swear I never meant to betray you. This was all to save us. The real traitor is watching us right now." What had led to this heart-pounding moment? How did a simple business trip turn into a web of lies, hidden agendas, and unbreakable bonds? As the lights from nearby spotlights suddenly flickered on, illuminating the beach like a stage set for drama, a voice crackled over a hidden speaker, playing a recording that would change everything. But before we dive into that explosive revelation, let's rewind. How did two people from such different worlds end up here, on the edge of heartbreak or redemption? Stick around, because this story of adventure, love, and corporate intrigue is just getting started. And you won't believe the twists that brought them to this very spot. The recording began to play, echoing across the beach. "We take Harrington down, and the company is ours. That guide? She's just collateral." The voices were unmistakable, Victor's low growl and Sophia's silky tone. Investors, gathered at the nearby resort for what they thought was a routine meeting, gasped as they watched from the balcony, their silhouettes visible against the glowing lights. Rachel's heart raced. Was this the end or the beginning of something real? Questions swirled in her mind. Who could she trust? Had Oliver been playing her all along, or was he the victim in a bigger game? As the scene unfolded, Oliver grabbed Rachel's hand, pulling her closer. "Listen to me," he whispered urgently. "I set this up to expose them. Victor, my brother, he's been plotting for years. And Sophia, she's in it for the power. But you and me, that's real." Rachel pulled back, her eyes searching his face for lies. The document in her hand detailed a secret merger that threatened everything she held dear. The ecological sanctuaries she'd sworn to protect. How had a whirlwind romance led to this betrayal? But hold on, don't stop now. What if I told you this confrontation is the peak of a journey filled with stolen glances under starry skies, daring escapades in hidden mangroves, and secrets that could topple empires? Imagine starting from a chance meeting in a sleek office tower, where ambition clashes with passion. Curious yet? Let's pull back the curtain and see how it all began, 3 months earlier in the vibrant heart of Miami. But first, picture this. What happens when a free-spirited adventurer meets a guarded tycoon? The sparks fly, but so do the suspicions. Keep reading, because the path to this beach showdown is paved with surprises that will keep you guessing. 3 months earlier, the city of Miami pulsed with its usual energy. Palm trees swayed along Ocean Drive. Neon lights flickered even in the daylight, and the scent of Cuban coffee wafted from corner cafes. Rachel Thompson was no stranger to this chaos. She'd grown up here, daughter of a former sailor who taught her to navigate the wild Everglades as easily as the bustling streets. At 28, Rachel ran her own tour agency, Miami Wild Adventures, specializing in eco-tours that took thrill-seekers off the beaten path. But business wasn't booming. Debts piled up from equipment repairs and slow seasons, and she often wondered if her dream was slipping away. That morning, Rachel sat in her small office in Little Havana, surrounded by maps and photos of smiling clients posing with alligators in the distance. Her best friend and business partner, Mia Rodriguez, burst in with a fresh cafecito in hand. "Rachel, you won't believe this email. Some big-shot CEO wants a private tour. Says it's urgent." Mia, with her sharp wit and no-nonsense attitude, always kept things grounded. She was the numbers person, the one who balanced the books while Rachel dreamed up new adventures. Rachel skimmed the message, her eyebrows raising. Oliver Harrington? From Harrington Resorts? What does a hotel mogul want with us? Oliver Harrington was a name everyone in Miami knew. 35 years old, heir to a fortune, turning his family's company into a leader in sustainable luxury resorts. But rumors swirled about his cutthroat business tactics and a mysterious family feud. Before she could ponder more, her phone buzzed. It was Jake, her ex-boyfriend and occasional boat pilot for tours. Hey Rach, heard about that fancy client. Be careful, guys like that don't play fair. Jake's voice carried that familiar mix of concern and lingering affection. They dated in college, but his jealousy over her independent streak had ended things. Still, he stuck around, helping with gigs when needed. Rachel brushed it off with a laugh. It's just a tour, Jake. Easy money. But deep down, she felt a thrill. This could be the break her agency needed. Cut to the sleek offices of Harrington Resorts in Brickell, Miami's financial district. Towering glass buildings reflected the blue sky. And inside, Oliver paced his corner suite, overlooking Biscayne Bay. His assistant, Elena Vargas, handed him a file. Mr. Harrington, the guides confirmed. Rachel Thompson, solid reputation for eco-tours. Elena was efficient, almost too much so, with a smile that never quite reached her eyes. Oliver nodded, his mind racing. This wasn't just any trip. He needed someone discreet to scout locations for a potential merger with Ecolux Corp, run by his ex-fiancée, Sophia Lang. But there was more. Whispers of sabotage from within his own family. His older brother, Victor Harrington, disowned years ago after a scandal, was lurking in the shadows, hungry for revenge. Make sure everything's set, Oliver told Elena. This merger could make or break us. Little did he know, Elena had her own agenda, feeding info to Sophia on the side. Rachel arrived at the office later that day, her casual jeans and hiking boots a stark contrast to the polished suits around her. Oliver greeted her with a firm handshake, his blue eyes intense. Ms. Thompson, thanks for coming. I need a guide who knows Miami's hidden spots, the Everglades, the Keys. It's for business scouting. Pay's generous. Rachel tilted her head, sensing there was more. Call me Rachel. And what's the catch? Why not use your own team? Oliver smiled faintly. Discretion and adventure. Think you can handle it? Their eyes met, a spark igniting. Try me, she replied. As they shook on it, questions lingered. What secrets was Oliver hiding? Would this trip be the adventure of a lifetime or a path to heartbreak? The stage was set, but the real drama was about to unfold. Hang on tight. Next up, the journey begins, and with it, the first whispers of romance and doubt. What will happen when they venture into the wild together? You won't want to miss it. The agreement sealed, Rachel headed back to her office, buzzing with excitement. Mia was waiting. So how'd it go? He's intense, Rachel admitted. But this could save us. Mia frowned. Just be careful. Rich guys like him always have strings attached. That night, as Rachel packed for the trip, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was more than business. Oliver, meanwhile, stared out his window, wondering if trusting a stranger was wise. Little did they know, forces were already aligning against them. The next day, they met at a private dock in the Keys. Oliver arrived in a sleek SUV, Elena dropping him off with a cryptic, "Good luck." Rachel waved from her boat, loaded with gear. Ready for the real Miami? Oliver climbed aboard, looking out of place in his khakis. Lead the way. As the boat cut through the water, conversation flowed. Tell me about yourself, Oliver said. Why tours? Rachel smiled, steering toward the mangroves. My dad was a sailor, taught me to love the wild side. What about you? Running an empire sounds glamorous, Oliver chuckled. Glamorous? It's lonely at the top. Their first stop, a hidden cove in the Everglades. As they hiked, Rachel pointed out wildlife, her passion infectious. Oliver opened up about his father's legacy, hinting at family rifts without details. By sunset, sharing a picnic, the air crackled with chemistry. You're not what I expected, Oliver admitted. Neither are you, Rachel replied, their hands brushing. But as night fell, a text buzzed on Rachel's phone from Mia. Found something odd in the scouting docks. Call me. What was it? A clue to the merger? The seeds of doubt were planted. As they headed back, the adventure was just beginning, but so were the shadows. What secrets will emerge next? Stay tuned for the deepening romance and the first cracks in trust. 3 months before the electrifying showdown on Miami Beach, the city hummed with its signature rhythm. The sun blazed over Ocean Drive, where palm trees cast playful shadows on pastel-colored buildings, and the air carried the beat of salsa music from open-air cafes. Tourists snapped selfies by the neon-lit Art Deco signs, while locals weaved through traffic on scooters, their laughter blending with the hum of the city. In the heart of Little Havana, Rachel Thompson sat in her cramped office at Miami Wild Adventures, surrounded by maps pinned to the walls and a cluttered desk piled with unpaid bills. Her dark hair was pulled into a messy bun, and her tanned skin glowed from days spent guiding tourists through the Everglades. At 28, Rachel was all passion and grit, a Miami native who'd inherited her father's love for the wild and his stubborn refusal to give up on dreams. But dreams weren't paying the rent. "Rachel, you're dreaming again," Mia Rodriguez teased, leaning against the doorway with a steaming cup of Cuban coffee. Mia, her best friend and business partner, was the anchor to Rachel's free spirit. With her sharp mind and quick laugh, she kept the agency's books balanced, or at least tried to. "That email from Harrington Resorts? It's not just some random gig. This could be our lifeline." Rachel glanced at the laptop screen, where the message from Oliver Harrington's assistant still glowed. "A private tour for a CEO? Sounds like a headache," she said, but her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "What's a guy like that want with us?" Mia shrugged, sipping her coffee. "Money talks, and we need it. You know, the bank's breathing down our necks." Across town, in the sleek glass tower of Harrington Resorts in Brickell, Oliver Harrington paced his office, the Miami skyline stretching out like a postcard behind him. At 35, he was the picture of success. Tailored suit, sharp jawline, and eyes that could charm a boardroom or cut through lies. But beneath the polished exterior, he carried the weight of his father's legacy and a family fractured by betrayal. His older brother, Victor, had been cast out years ago after a scandal that nearly tanked the company. Now, Oliver was steering Harrington Resorts toward a risky merger with Ecolux Corp, led by his ex-fiancée, Sophia Lang. The stakes were high, and trust was scarce. "Everything set for the trip?" Oliver asked, glancing at his assistant, Elena Vargas. She nodded, her expression unreadable. "The guide Rachel Thompson is confirmed. She's got the best reviews for eco-tours in Miami." "Good," Oliver said, but his mind was elsewhere. This wasn't just about scouting locations for new resorts. The merger was a chess game, and he needed a guide who could navigate Miami's wild side without asking too many questions. Elena's loyalty, though, nagged at him. She'd been with him for years, but something about her recent demeanor felt off. Back in Little Havana, Rachel's phone buzzed. It was Jake, her ex from college, who still lingered in her life like a stubborn summer storm. "Rach, heard about this CEO gig. You sure about this guy?" His voice carried that familiar mix of worry and jealousy. "It's just a job, Jake," Rachel said, rolling her eyes as she packed a backpack with binoculars and sunscreen. "We need the cash." Jake hesitated. "Guys like Harrington don't do just a job. Watch yourself." Rachel laughed it off, but Jake's words stuck. She'd always trusted her instincts, but something about this felt bigger than a paycheck. Still, the thought of saving her agency pushed her forward. She locked the office, gave Mia a quick hug, and headed to meet Oliver. The next morning, the sun was barely up when Rachel arrived at a private dock in Key Biscayne, where her boat bobbed gently in the turquoise water. She wore a faded tank top and cargo shorts, her hair tied back, ready for a day in the wild. Oliver pulled up in a sleek black SUV, stepping out in khakis and a linen shirt that screamed money, but looked out of place on a dock. Elena waved from the driver's seat before speeding off, her smile tight. "Ready for the real Miami?" Rachel called, tossing a life jacket his way. Oliver caught it with a grin. "I was born ready." As the boat sliced through the water toward the Everglades, Rachel felt a rush. This wasn't just another tour. It was a chance to prove herself. Oliver, meanwhile, studied her quietly, impressed by her ease behind the wheel. "You do this every day?" he asked, leaning against the railing. "Pretty much," Rachel said, steering around a mangrove cluster. "Grew up out here with my dad. He was a sailor, loved the water. Taught me to find beauty in the chaos." Oliver nodded, something softening in his gaze. "Chaos I get. Beauty? That's harder to come by." Their first stop was a hidden cove deep in the Everglades, where the air was thick with the hum of insects and the scent of wet earth. Rachel led the way, pointing out herons gliding over the water and a distant alligator sunning itself. "This is what Miami's really about," she said, her voice alive with passion. "Not just the beaches and clubs, the wild stuff." Oliver watched her, captivated. "You make it sound like a secret worth keeping." They set up a makeshift camp as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in purples and golds. Over a picnic of sandwiches and iced tea, they talked. Rachel shared stories of her dad's adventures, while Oliver opened up about his father's expectations and the pressure of running an empire. "It's lonely sometimes," he admitted, staring at the stars. Everyone wants something from you. Rachel met his eyes, her heart tugging. Not everyone. Some of us just want to keep what we've got. Their hands brushed as they packed up, a spark igniting in the quiet. For a moment, the world was just them, the mangroves, and the endless sky. But as they headed back to the boat, Rachel's phone lit up with a text from Mia. Found something weird in the scouting docks. Call me ASAP. Rachel frowned, her stomach twisting. What's wrong? Oliver asked, noticing her expression. Nothing, she lied, forcing a smile. Just work stuff. But as they motored back to the dock, questions swirled in her mind. What had Mia found? Was this trip really about resorts, or was Oliver hiding something? The chemistry between them was undeniable, but so was the unease creeping in. Back at her office, Mia was waiting, her face grim. These reports Oliver sent, they mention a protected island in the Keys. Rachel, that's the sanctuary your dad loved. Why is he scouting it? Rachel's heart sank. The sanctuary was her father's legacy, a place she'd sworn to protect. Had she misjudged Oliver? Was this job a trap? Meanwhile, in his Brickell office, Oliver stared at his phone. A cryptic message from his lawyer, Marcus Reed, flashing on the screen. Victor's been spotted in Miami. Watch your back. Oliver's jaw tightened. His brother's return could only mean trouble, and Rachel was now caught in the middle. As Rachel lay awake that night, replaying Oliver's words under the stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that this adventure was about to get complicated. Was Oliver the charming dreamer she'd glimpsed, or a calculating tycoon using her for his own ends? And what did Mia's discovery mean for her agency? And her heart? The boat was docked, but the journey was far from over. What secrets would the next leg of the trip reveal? Would Rachel's trust in Oliver grow, or would doubt tear them apart? Keep watching, because the wilds of Miami are hiding more than alligators, and the truth is about to get tangled in the mangroves. The sun hung high over the Florida Keys, its light splintering across the turquoise waves like 1,000 tiny diamonds. Rachel steered her weathered tour boat through the narrow channels of the mangroves, the salty breeze tugging at her ponytail. The hum of the engine mixed with the calls of distant seabirds, and for a moment, Miami's chaos felt a world away. Beside her, Oliver leaned against the railing, his linen shirt unbuttoned at the collar, looking more relaxed than he had in their first meeting. The Everglades had been their first adventure, a glimpse into each other's worlds. But today's trip to the Keys promised something deeper. What secrets would these islands reveal? Not just about the land, but about the man sitting across from her. And why couldn't she shake Mia's warning about those suspicious documents? The journey was only beginning, and already, Rachel felt like she was navigating more than just the water. Their first stop was a secluded cove, where mangroves twisted into a natural cathedral, and the water was so clear you could see fish darting below. Rachel cut the engine, letting the boat drift. "This is one of my favorite spots," she said, hopping onto the shore with a rope to tie the boat. No tourists, no noise, just pure Miami. Oliver followed, his city shoes sinking slightly into the damp earth. "You're right," he said, scanning the horizon. "It's like stepping into another world." Rachel grinned, tossing him a water bottle. "Careful, Mr. CEO, you might actually enjoy getting your hands dirty." He caught it, his smile teasing. "Call me Oliver, and I'm not afraid of a little dirt." As they hiked deeper into the cove, Rachel pointed out hidden ecosystems, coral reefs teeming with life, mangroves shielding baby crabs. Her passion was infectious, and Oliver found himself hanging on her every word. "You really love this, don't you?" he asked, pausing to watch her crouch by a cluster of sea grapes. "It's not just about loving it," Rachel said, standing to meet his gaze. "It's about protecting it. My dad used to bring me here. He'd say these places are worth more than any money." Oliver's expression softened, a shadow crossing his face. "My dad was more about building empires than saving sanctuaries. I wish I'd had someone like yours." Their eyes locked, and for a moment, the world shrank to just them. The rustle of leaves, the gentle lap of waves. Rachel felt a pull, something beyond the job, but Mia's text from the night before gnawed at her. Those reports mention a protected island. Why is he scouting it? She pushed the thought aside, not ready to let doubt ruin the moment. They set up camp as the sun began to sink, painting the sky in fiery hues. Over a simple dinner of grilled fish and mango salsa, cooked on a portable stove, the conversation flowed. "So, Oliver," Rachel said, leaning back against a palm tree. "Why this trip? You could have sent a team to scout locations. Why you and why me?" Oliver hesitated, swirling his water bottle. "I needed someone who sees the land, not just the profit. And I wanted to get away from the boardroom for a bit. Clear my head," Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Clear your head? You don't strike me as the find-yourself type." He laughed, a low, warm sound. Maybe I'm figuring out who I want to be. The air crackled with unspoken possibilities. As they cleaned up, their hands brushed while passing a plate, and neither pulled away. Careful, Rachel teased, her voice softer now. You keep looking at me like that. I might think you're not just here for business. Oliver's gaze held hers, intense but playful. Maybe I'm not. The moment hung, electric, until Rachel's phone buzzed, shattering the spell. It was Mia again. Found more in the files. Looks like a merger with Ecolux Corp. Why didn't he mention it? Call me. Rachel's stomach twisted. She glanced at Oliver, who was packing the stove, oblivious. Everything okay? He asked, noticing her frown. Yeah, just checking the weather. She lied, slipping the phone into her pocket. But her mind raced. Ecolux Corp? That was a major player, known for gobbling up small agencies like hers. Was this trip part of some corporate game? The sanctuary island Mia mentioned. It was her dad's legacy. If Oliver was planning to sell it, she'd never forgive him. The next day, they headed to a private island in the Keys, a pristine stretch of sand and mangroves that Rachel knew well. This place is special, she said as they docked, her voice tinged with reverence. It's a sanctuary for endangered species. My dad helped get it protected. Oliver nodded, scribbling notes on a tablet. It's perfect for a resort. Sustainable, of course. Low impact. Rachel's heart sank. Sustainable? Resorts don't belong here. This is a sanctuary, not a playground for the rich. He looked up, surprised by her tone. I'm not the bad guy here, Rachel. I want to do this right. Do you? She snapped, then caught herself. Sorry, it's just personal. Oliver set the tablet down, stepping closer. I get it. Tell me about it. Why's this place so important? She hesitated, then opened up, her voice raw. My dad spent years fighting developers to save this island. He died believing it was safe. If it's sold, she trailed off, her eyes glistening. Oliver reached out, touching her arm gently. I hear you. Let's find a way to make this work, for both of us. His touch sent a shiver through her, but doubt lingered. Was he sincere, or was this charm just a CEO's tactic? As they explored the island, their chemistry grew. During a dive in the crystal waters, Rachel spotted a strong current pulling Oliver toward a reef. Without thinking, she swam to him, grabbing his hand and guiding him to safety. They surfaced, breathless, faces inches apart. You okay? Rachel asked, her voice shaky from adrenaline. Thanks to you, Oliver said, his eyes locked on hers. For a moment, they floated there, the world fading away. Then he added, You're pretty incredible, you know that? Rachel blushed, swimming back to the boat. Just doing my job. But as they climbed aboard, her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo from Mia. A screenshot of a document marked Ecolux Merger Key Properties. The sanctuary island was listed. Rachel's heart pounded. She glanced at Oliver, laughing as he shook water from his hair. Was he playing her, or was he as clueless as she hoped? Back in Miami, Elena sat in her office texting Sophia. The guide's getting too close. Should we push the plan forward? Sophia's reply was swift. Do it. Make it look like she's the leak. Across town, Jake was digging too. He'd overheard a conversation at a bar about Victor Harrington being back in Miami. Rach needs to know, he muttered. But his jealousy made him hesitate. Should he warn her or use this to get her back? That night, Rachel sat on her apartment balcony, the Miami skyline glittering below. She replayed Oliver's words, his touch, the way he looked at her. But Mia's warnings echoed louder. She dialed her friend. Mia, what's in those files? Is Oliver hiding something? Mia's voice was tense. It's not just the merger. There's a clause about transferring land rights. Rachel, that island, it's at risk. Rachel's grip tightened on the phone. I need to know the truth. As she hung up, the city lights seemed to pulse with secrets. Oliver was opening her heart, but could she trust him? What was Ecolux planning, and who was pulling the strings? The adventure was deepening, but so were the shadows. What would the next stop reveal about Oliver's intentions and Rachel's heart? Stay tuned, because the stakes are rising, and the truth is closer than she thinks. The Miami sun was relentless, casting a golden haze over the city as Rachel sat in the passenger seat of her beat-up Jeep, the wind whipping through the open windows. The scent of salt and sunscreen clung to her skin after days in the Keys with Oliver, but her mind was far from the turquoise waters. Mia's latest text burned in her thoughts. A screenshot of a merger document listing the protected island her father had fought for. Was Oliver playing her, using their growing connection to pave the way for a corporate takeover? Or was he caught in a game bigger than both of them? The answers were out there, hidden in Miami's vibrant streets and shadowy boardrooms. But every step closer to the truth felt like a step toward heartbreak. What secrets were unraveling behind the scenes, and who was pulling the strings? Buckle up, because as Rachel's doubts grow, so does the web of intrigue. And the sparks between her and Oliver are about to face their first real test. Rachel gripped the steering wheel, glancing at Mia, who was scrolling through her phone in the passenger seat. "This merger with Ecolux," Mia said, her voice tight. "It's not just about resorts. They're talking about transferring land rights to private investors." "That island, Rachel, it's your dad's legacy." Rachel's jaw clenched. "Oliver said it's about sustainable resorts." He sounded sincere. Her voice wavered, betraying the hope she wasn't ready to let go of. Mia snorted, tossing her dark curls. "Sincere? He's a CEO, Rach. They don't get to that level by playing nice. You're getting too close to him." Rachel didn't respond, her mind flashing to the moment in the Keys when Oliver's hand brushed hers, his eyes soft under the starlight. But Mia's words stung. She pulled into a parking lot near their office in Little Havana, the neon signs of a nearby taqueria flickering in the dusk. "I need to know what he's hiding," she said finally. "Let's dig deeper into those files." Across town, in the sleek offices of Harrington Resorts, Oliver sat behind his desk, the Miami skyline a glittering backdrop. His laptop screen glowed with emails from his lawyer, Marcus, warning about Victor's recent movements. "He's been meeting with Ecolux contacts," Marcus had written. "This merger could be a setup." Oliver rubbed his temples, the weight of his brother's betrayal a familiar ache. Victor had always been the wild card, disowned after embezzling funds years ago. Now, he was back, and Oliver couldn't shake the feeling that Rachel was caught in the crossfire. Elena knocked and entered, her heels clicking on the marble floor. "The scouting reports from the Keys are ready," she said, sliding a folder across his desk. "Rachel's notes are thorough." "She's good," Oliver nodded, flipping through the pages. Rachel's handwriting was meticulous, detailing ecosystems and conservation concerns. He smiled faintly, remembering her passion in the mangroves. "She's more than good," he said, almost to himself. "She's different." Elena's smile tightened, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. "Don't get too attached, Oliver. Business first." She turned to leave, but her phone buzzed, and she glanced at it quickly before slipping out. What Oliver didn't know was that Elena was texting Sophia, her words cold and calculated. "He's falling for the guide. Time to plant the leak." Sophia's reply was instant. "Make it convincing. We need her out of the picture." Meanwhile, Jake was nursing a beer at a dive bar in Coconut Grove, the kind of place where locals swapped stories over cheap tacos. He'd overheard a conversation the night before, two suits talking about Victor Harrington's return to Miami. "He's got a plan to screw over his brother," one had said. Jake's stomach churned. He still cared about Rachel, maybe more than he'd admit, and the thought of her tangled up with a guy like Oliver made his blood boil. But was it jealousy, or was he genuinely worried? He pulled out his phone, hesitating before texting Rachel. "Found something about Harrington's brother. Call me." Rachel didn't see the message right away. She and Mia were hunched over a laptop in their office, the glow of the screen casting shadows on the walls. Mia had hacked into the shared drive Oliver's team used for scouting reports, thanks to a carelessly shared link. "Look at this," Mia said, pointing to a file labeled Ecolux Merger, Phase 1. It outlined plans to develop the protected island into a luxury eco-resort, bypassing environmental regulations through a loophole. Rachel's heart sank, her father's voice echoing in her mind. "Keep this place safe, kiddo." "This can't be right," Rachel whispered. "Oliver said he wanted to protect places like this." Mia raised an eyebrow. "Did he? Or did he say what you wanted to hear?" Rachel's phone buzzed with Jake's text, but she ignored it, too focused on the screen. Then she found it. A message embedded in the file, encrypted but sloppily so. Mia cracked it in minutes, revealing a note from Elena to an unknown contact. "Thompson's reports are perfect for the pitch. Make her the fall guy if it leaks." Rachel's breath caught. "They're setting me up? Why?" Mia leaned back, her expression grim. "Maybe you're too good at your job. Or maybe you're getting too close to Oliver, and someone doesn't like it." Rachel's mind raced. She thought of Oliver's smile, the way he'd listened to her stories about her dad. Was it all an act? She grabbed her phone, ready to confront him, but Mia stopped her. "Not yet. We need more proof. Let's keep digging." That night, Oliver invited Rachel to dinner at a rooftop restaurant in South Beach, the kind of place with fairy lights and ocean views that screamed money. She almost canceled, her trust shaken, but curiosity and something deeper pushed her to go. Dressed in a simple sundress, she felt out of place among the glittering crowd, but Oliver's face lit up when he saw her. "You look, wow," he said, pulling out her chair. "Glad you came." Rachel forced a smile, her heart pounding. Had to see if you're as good at dinner as you are at hiking. He laughed, but his eyes searched hers. Something's off. What's wrong? She hesitated, the weight of Mia's discoveries pressing on her. Just tired, she lied. Long week. Over ceviche and mojitos they talked. About Miami's quirks, their childhoods, the dreams they rarely shared. Oliver opened up about his father's death, how it left him with a company he wasn't sure he wanted. Sometimes I wonder if I'm building his dream or mine, he admitted. Rachel's heart softened, but the doubt lingered. What's your dream, Oliver? Really? He leaned closer, his voice low. Maybe it's finding someone who sees the world the way you do. Her breath hitched, but before she could respond, her phone buzzed again. Jake, this time with a voicemail. Rach, Victor Harrington's back. He's bad news. Don't trust Oliver. Rachel excused herself to the bathroom, her hands shaking as she listened to the message. Victor, the brother Oliver barely mentioned? She returned to the table, her smile strained. Oliver noticed. You sure you're okay? Yeah, she said, but her mind was elsewhere. Was Jake just jealous, or was there truth to his warning? And what about Elena's note? As they left the restaurant, Oliver's hand brushed hers, and she felt that familiar spark. But now, it came with a question. Was she falling for a man she could trust, or walking into a trap? Back at his office, Oliver got a call from Marcus. Victor's meeting with Sophia tomorrow. They're planning something big. Watch your back, and Rachel's. Oliver's jaw tightened. He thought of Rachel's laugh, her fire. He couldn't let her get hurt. But as he stared at the city lights, he wondered, was she already too deep in this mess? Rachel lay awake that night, the Miami skyline glowing outside her window. Mia's files, Jake's warning, Oliver's words, they swirled in her head. The adventure was turning into something dangerous, and her heart was caught in the middle. What would she find if she kept digging? And could she trust the man who was stealing her heart? The answers were close, but so were the risks. Keep watching, because the next move could change everything. And someone's about to make a play that no one sees coming. The Miami night pulsed with energy, the neon lights of South Beach casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the crowded streets. Music spilled from open-air bars where laughter and clinking glasses mingled with the salty breeze off the Atlantic. Rachel stood on the rooftop of one of South Beach's swankiest venues, her sundress swaying in the warm wind, feeling like a fish out of water among the glittering elite. The party was in full swing, champagne flutes, designer dresses, and power players sealing deals with handshakes and fake smiles. She'd come here to confront Oliver, her heart a tangle of hope and suspicion after Mia's discovery of the Ecolux merger, and Jake's cryptic warning about Victor. Was Oliver the man she was falling for? The one who shared starry nights and saved her from ocean currents? Or was he a master manipulator, using her to sell out her father's sanctuary? As the stakes rise, secrets unravel, and a new player steps into the spotlight, threatening to turn their budding romance into a dangerous game. What happens when trust is tested by a glamorous rival and whispers of betrayal? Stay with us, because this night is about to ignite with drama, and the truth is closer than Rachel thinks. Rachel clutched her phone, Jake's voicemail replaying in her mind. Victor's back. Don't trust Oliver. She scanned the rooftop, spotting Oliver near the bar, his tailored blazer catching the light as he laughed with a group of investors. For a moment, she saw the man from the Keys, the one who'd opened up about his loneliness, whose touch sent shivers down her spine. But Mia's words echoed louder. They're setting you up. She took a deep breath, steeling herself, and made her way through the crowd. Rachel! Oliver's face lit up as he spotted her, excusing himself from the group. You made it. I was starting to think you'd ditch me for another mangrove adventure. She forced a smile, her heart racing. Couldn't resist the free drinks. But we need to talk. Before he could respond, a woman glided toward them, her red dress hugging every curve, her blonde hair cascading like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Sophia Lang, CEO of Ecolux Corp., exuded confidence and charm, her smile sharp as a blade. Rachel's stomach twisted. She'd seen Sophia's name in the merger documents, but meeting her in person was like facing a storm. Oliver, darling, Sophia purred, resting a manicured hand on his arm. You didn't tell me your guide was so charming. Her eyes flicked to Rachel, sizing her up. Rachel bristled, but kept her tone light. Rachel Thompson. And you are? Sophia Lang, she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. I'm working with Oliver on a little project. He's told me so much about your tours. Oliver shifted, his jaw tightening. Sophia, this isn't the time. Oh, come now, Sophia interrupted, her voice dripping with honey. We're all friends here. Rachel, you must join us for a drink. Oliver's always been terrible at picking partners, business or otherwise. The jab hit Rachel like a wave, and she caught the flicker of discomfort in Oliver's eyes. Was Sophia just an ex stirring trouble, or was there more to their history? The crowd around them buzzed, oblivious to the tension brewing. Rachel's mind raced. Sophia's presence felt like a deliberate move, but to what end? "Let's step outside," Rachel said, her voice firm. "I need some air." Oliver followed her to a quieter corner of the rooftop, where the city lights twinkled below. "What's going on?" he asked, his voice low. "You've been off all night." Rachel crossed her arms, the weight of the merger documents heavy in her mind. "Why didn't you tell me about Ecolux? Or the plan to develop my dad's sanctuary island?" Oliver's eyes widened, caught off guard. "Rachel, it's not what you think. The merger's about sustainable growth, not destroying anything." "I'd never what?" She cut in, her voice rising. "Use me to get what you want?" "I saw the files, Oliver. My name's in them, tied to a leak I didn't cause." He stepped closer, his expression earnest. "I don't know about any leak, but I swear, I'm trying to protect that island, not sell it out. Trust me, please." Rachel wanted to believe him, but doubt gnawed at her. Trust works both ways. What's Sophia's deal? She's acting like she owns you. Oliver sighed, running a hand through his hair. "She's my ex. We were engaged years ago, before things got complicated. She's pushing this merger hard, but I'm not playing her game." Rachel's heart twisted. Engaged? The word hit harder than she expected. Complicated how? Before he could answer, Sophia appeared, a champagne flute in hand. "Am I interrupting?" she asked, her tone mock innocent. "Oliver, the investors are waiting. You can't keep hiding with your tour guide." Rachel's cheeks burned, but she held her ground. "I'm not hiding. And I'm not just a tour guide." Sophia raised an eyebrow, smirking. "Oh, I'm sure you're very special. But business is business, darling. Stick to what you know." Rachel stepped forward, her voice icy. "I know enough to see through you." Oliver grabbed Rachel's arm gently, pulling her back. "Sophia, enough. Leave us alone." Sophia laughed, sauntering away. But her parting glance at Rachel was pure venom. The encounter left Rachel shaken. The seeds of a love triangle, or a calculated distraction, taking root. Back in Little Havana, Mia was burning the midnight oil at the agency, her laptop open to a flurry of emails. She'd found more in the shared drive. A chain of messages between Elena and an anonymous contact, hinting at a plan to frame Rachel for leaking merger details. "This is bad," Mia muttered, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She'd roped in a tech-savvy friend, Carlos, to trace the emails. The cafe they worked from, a cozy spot on Calle Ocho, hummed with late-night chatter, the smell of espresso grounding her. "Got something," Carlos said, pointing to his screen. "The emails are routing through a server linked to Ecolux. And look, there's a draft press release accusing Rachel of corporate espionage." Mia's blood ran cold. They're setting her up to take the fall. "We need to warn her," she texted Rachel. "Emergency. Meet me at the cafe. Now." But Rachel was still reeling from the party, her phone buried in her purse as she walked along Ocean Drive trying to clear her head. The neon lights reflected her turmoil. Oliver's sincerity clashed with Sophia's barbs and the damning files. Was this a setup, or was Sophia just stirring the pot to keep Oliver in her orbit? Meanwhile, Jake was spiraling. He'd followed a lead to a shady bar in Wynwood, where he overheard more about Victor's plans. "He's got dirt on Oliver," a guy in a suit had said. "Enough to tank the merger and the company." Jake's jealousy battled his conscience. He wanted Rachel back, but he couldn't let her get hurt. He left another voicemail. "Rach, it's worse than I thought. Victor's got people watching you. Call me." Back at the rooftop, Oliver caught up with Rachel as she headed for the elevator. "Don't let Sophia get to you," he said, his voice soft but urgent. "She's trying to drive a wedge between us." Rachel turned, her eyes searching his. "Is there an us, Oliver? Or am I just part of your merger plan?" He stepped closer, his hand brushing her cheek. "You're not a plan. You're real. More real than anything in this world of suits and schemes." Her breath caught, the warmth of his touch pulling her in. But Mia's text lit up her phone, yanking her back to reality. "I have to go," she said, stepping into the elevator. As the doors closed, Oliver's face was a mix of hope and fear. Rachel raced to the cafe where Mia and Carlos waited. "They're framing you," Mia said, showing her the emails. "Elena's behind it, and I bet Sophia's pulling the strings." Rachel's heart pounded. "But why me? I'm nobody in their world." "You're not nobody to Oliver," Mia said. "That's the problem." As the night deepened, Rachel felt the walls closing in. Sophia's game, Elena's betrayal, Victor's shadow. Every piece pointed to a conspiracy bigger than she'd imagined. Could she trust Oliver's heart, or was it all a lie? And what would she find if she dug deeper? The answers were out there, waiting in Miami's neon glow. Keep watching, because the next move could break her heart, or reveal the truth that changes everything. The Miami skyline glittered like a promise under the velvet night, its neon glow a stark contrast to the storm brewing in Rachel's heart. She sat in the back of a dimly lit cafe on Calle Ocho, the hum of late-night conversations and the clink of espresso cups fading into the background. Her fingers trembled as she stared at the laptop screen, where Mia had pulled up damning evidence. Emails between Elena and an anonymous contact, plotting to frame Rachel for leaking merger details. The words corporate espionage burned into her mind, a betrayal that cut deeper than she'd expected. Was Oliver part of this, or was he just as trapped as she was? The chemistry between them, those stolen moments in the keys, the warmth of his hand brushing hers, felt so real, but doubt was a relentless shadow. As secrets unravel and unexpected allies emerge, the truth starts to surface, but at what cost? Can Rachel trust her heart, or will the web of deceit pull her under? Keep watching, because the revelations are just beginning, and redemption might come from the unlikeliest of places. Rachel leaned back in the booth, her eyes flicking to Mia, who was typing furiously. "This is insane," Rachel whispered. "They're setting me up to look like I betrayed Oliver's company." "Why me?" Mia didn't look up, her focus razor sharp. "Because you're a threat. You're not just a guide. You're getting under his skin. Someone doesn't like that." Carlos, Mia's tech-savvy friend, pushed his glasses up his nose, pointing to a new email on the screen. "This one's from Elena to someone at Ecolux. They're planning to leak a press release tomorrow, pinning the merger details on you. It's got your name all over it." Rachel's stomach churned. "But I didn't leak anything. I've been doing my job." Mia met her eyes, her voice soft but firm. "Exactly. That's why they picked you, because you're clean. It makes the story stick." Across town, in his brickle penthouse, Oliver paced the marble floor, the city lights casting long shadows. His phone buzzed with another message from Marcus Reed, his lawyer. "Victor's meeting with Sophia tonight. They're moving fast. Protect Rachel, she's a target." Oliver's jaw tightened. He'd suspected Victor's return was trouble, but targeting Rachel? That was personal. He thought of her fire, her stories about her dad, the way she'd saved him from the currents in the Keys. He couldn't let her get hurt, not by his brother, not by anyone. "Elena," Oliver called, grabbing his jacket. "I need you to pull all the merger files. Something's not right." Elena appeared at the door, her expression cool. "Already done, Oliver. They're on your desk." He nodded, but something in her tone made him pause. "You've been working late a lot. Everything okay?" She smiled. "Too perfect, too practiced. Just doing my job. You should get some rest." But rest was the last thing on Oliver's mind. He needed answers, and he needed to see Rachel. He grabbed his phone, texting her, "Meet me tomorrow. We need to talk. It's important." Rachel's phone lit up as she left the cafe, the message from Oliver glowing in the dark. She hesitated, her heart caught between hope and fear. "He wants to meet," she told Mia, showing her the text. Mia frowned. "Be careful, Rach. This could be a trap," Carlos chimed in, his voice low. "I can keep digging. If Elena's the link, there's more to find." "Give me a day," Rachel nodded, her mind racing. She wanted to believe Oliver, but the evidence was piling up. As she drove home through Miami's neon-lit streets, Jake's voicemail from earlier haunted her. "Victor's got people watching you." She hadn't called him back, too overwhelmed by the night's revelations. But Jake wasn't done. At a marina in Coconut Grove, Jake sat in his boat, the gentle rocking doing little to calm his nerves. He'd messed up, letting jealousy push him to dig into Oliver's family without telling Rachel everything. The bar conversation he'd overheard kept replaying. Victor Harrington, plotting to tank his brother's company. Jake had sent Rachel a warning, but it wasn't enough. He opened his phone, finding a grainy photo he'd taken at the bar. A man who looked like Victor, talking to a woman who could only be Sophia. His fingers hovered over Rachel's number, but instead, he dialed a contact he hadn't spoken to in years. A private investigator named Leo, who owed him a favor. "Leo, it's Jake. I need you to look into Victor Harrington. He's back in Miami, and he's trouble." Leo's voice crackled through. "Harrington? That's a big name. What's the angle?" "He's after his brother's company. And a friend of mine's caught in the middle." Jake hung up, guilt gnawing at him. He'd been too harsh with Rachel, letting old feelings cloud his judgment. He had to make this right. He sent her another text. "Rach, I'm sorry. I know more about Victor. Meet me tomorrow at the marina." The next morning, Rachel met Jake at the marina, the sun glinting off the boats. He looked tired, his usual cocky grin replaced by worry. "I messed up," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I heard about Victor at a bar. He's working with Sophia to sabotage Oliver's merger. They're using you to make it look like you leaked the plans." Rachel's eyes widened. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Jake sighed. "I was jealous, okay? Seeing you with him, it got to me. But I don't want you hurt. Here. He handed her a USB drive. This has recordings from the bar. Victor and Sophia talking about the merger. It's proof. Rachel took the drive, her anger softening. Thanks, Jake. I know this isn't easy for you. He shrugged, a sad smile tugging at his lips. Just don't let that CEO break your heart. As Rachel left the marina, her phone buzzed again. Oliver, confirming their meeting at a quiet park in Coral Gables. She drove there, the USB drive burning a hole in her pocket. The park was lush, with banyan trees casting dappled shade, a stark contrast to the chaos in her mind. Oliver was waiting on a bench, his usual polish replaced by a rumpled shirt and tired eyes. Rachel, he said, standing as she approached. I owe you an explanation. She crossed her arms, the USB drive heavy in her hand. You owe me the truth. Are you selling my dad's island? And what's with the leak framing me? Oliver's face fell. You know about that? Rachel, I swear, I didn't set you up. The merger was supposed to be a partnership, but Victor's been pulling strings. He's working with Sophia to take me down. Rachel studied him, searching for lies. Why should I believe you? He stepped closer, his voice raw. Because I'm falling for you, and I'd never hurt you. Her heart skipped, but she held up the USB drive. Then explain this. Recordings of your brother and Sophia, plotting against you and me. Oliver's eyes widened. Where did you get that? Doesn't matter, Rachel said. What matters is what you do next. Before he could respond, Marcus called, his voice urgent. Oliver, we've got a problem. Elena's been feeding Sophia information. I found discrepancies in the merger files. Meet me at the office now. Oliver looked at Rachel, torn. Come with me. Let's figure this out together. She hesitated, the USB drive still in her hand. Could she trust him, or was this another layer of the game? Okay, she said finally, but no more secrets. As they drove to Brickell, the city buzzing around them, Rachel felt the weight of the moment. Jake's redemption had given her a weapon, but the fight was far from over. Elena's betrayal was out in the open, and Victor and Sophia were closing in. What would they find at Harrington Resorts? And could Rachel and Oliver's connection survive the truth? The answers are coming, and they're bigger than anyone expects. Keep watching, because the next step could unravel everything, or bring them closer than ever. Miami's skyline shimmered under the midday sun, a dazzling mix of glass towers and endless blue. But inside Rachel's Jeep, the air was thick with tension. She gripped the steering wheel, the USB drive from Jake tucked in her pocket like a ticking bomb. Beside her, Oliver stared out the window, his jaw set, his mind clearly racing. The revelations of the past 24 hours, Elena's betrayal, Victor's scheming, Sophia's manipulations, had brought them to a breaking point. The drive to Harrington Resort's office in Brickell felt like a countdown, each mile pulling them closer to a truth that could either solidify their bond or shatter it. Rachel wanted to believe Oliver's plea, his raw confession that he was falling for her. But the documents implicating her in a corporate leak loomed large. What would they uncover in those files? And who would be waiting when they got there? As the city buzzed around them, one thing was clear. The answers were close. And so was the moment that would define their future. Buckle up, because the stakes are higher than ever, and the truth is about to come crashing down like a Miami thunderstorm. Will Rachel and Oliver face it together, or will the secrets tear them apart? Keep watching, because the climax is just steps away. Rachel glanced at Oliver, his profile sharp against the blur of palm trees outside. You sure about this? She asked, her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. Once we walk into that office, there's no going back. Oliver turned, his blue eyes intense. I'm sure. I need you to see the truth, Rachel. No more secrets. She nodded, but doubt lingered. The USB drive held recordings of Victor and Sophia plotting against him. But what if Oliver was playing a deeper game? She thought of their moments in the Keys, the starlit picnic, the dive where she'd pulled him from danger. Those felt real, but so did the damning emails Mia had uncovered. As they pulled into the underground garage of Harrington Resorts, the sleek building towering above, Rachel felt like she was stepping into the lion's den. Inside, the lobby was a cathedral of glass and marble. Cool air, a stark contrast to Miami's heat. Marcus Reed, Oliver's lawyer, met them at the elevators, his gray suit crisp but his expression grim. You're here, he said, shaking Rachel's hand. Good, we've got a mess to clean up. What did you find? Oliver asked, his voice low as they stepped into the elevator. Marcus glanced at Rachel, hesitating. Elena's been altering the merger files. She's feeding Sophia intel to make it look like Rachel leaked the plans. I traced her emails. She's been at it for weeks. Rachel's heart sank. So it's true. They're framing me. Marcus nodded. But there's more. Victor's involved. He's pushing to discredit you, Oliver, and take control of the company. The merger's a smokescreen, Oliver's fists clenched. My brother never changes. What's the plan? We confront Elena, Marcus said. I've got backups of the original files. We can prove she tampered with them. But we need to move fast. Sophia's meeting investors tonight at the resort. Rachel's mind raced. Tonight? That's when they'll release the press statement blaming me, right? Marcus nodded. Exactly. We need to get to those files before they do. The elevator dinged, opening to the executive floor. The office was quiet. Most employees gone for lunch, but Elena was at her desk, typing furiously. She looked up, her smile faltering as she saw Rachel. Oliver, I didn't know you were coming in. And Rachel, right? Cut the act, Rachel said, her voice sharp. We know you're working with Sophia. Elena's eyes widened, but she recovered quickly, standing with a forced laugh. That's ridiculous. I'm just doing my job. Oliver stepped forward, his presence commanding. Then explain the altered files. Marcus found your emails. You've been setting Rachel up. Elena's composure cracked, her hands fidgeting. You're paranoid, Oliver. I'm loyal to you, not Sophia. Then let's check your computer, Rachel said, crossing her arms. Right now. Elena hesitated, her eyes darting to the door. Before she could move, Marcus stepped in, pulling a USB drive of his own. I've already got what we need, he said, plugging it into her computer. The screen lit up with a cascade of emails. Elena's correspondence with Sophia, detailing plans to frame Rachel and discredit Oliver. One message stood out. Make sure the guide takes the fall. Oliver's too distracted by her. Rachel's blood ran cold. You used me to hurt him. Why? Elena's face hardened. You don't get it, do you? This company's a sinking ship. Sophia offered me a way out, a better deal. You were just convenient. Oliver's voice was ice. You're done here, Elena. Pack your things. As Elena stormed out, Rachel felt a mix of vindication and unease. The truth was out, but the battle wasn't over. What now? She asked, turning to Oliver. We take this to the investors, he said, his eyes meeting hers. But I need you with me, Rachel. I can't do this alone. She hesitated, the USB drive from Jake still in her pocket. I want to believe you, but I need to know everything. What's Victor's endgame? Oliver sighed, sitting on the edge of the desk. He's always wanted the company. When my dad cut him out, he swore revenge. This merger. He's using Sophia to make it look like I'm failing, so the board will oust me. Rachel's heart softened, but she held firm. And the island? My dad's sanctuary? I swear, Oliver said, his voice raw, I never planned to sell it. The merger was supposed to protect places like that. Victor and Sophia twisted it. She studied him, searching for lies. His eyes were steady, vulnerable. Okay, she said finally. I'm in, but no more surprises. Meanwhile, across town, Mia was at the agency, working with Carlos to secure more evidence. We've got Elena's emails, Carlos said, but there's a server log showing Victor accessed the merger files too. He's covering his tracks. Mia's eyes narrowed. We need to get this to Rachel before the investor meeting. At the same time, Jake was meeting Leo, his private investigator contact, at a dive bar in Wynwood. Leo slid a folder across the table. Victor's been busy, he said. He's got a shell company buying up land around the Keys. If the merger fails, he'll swoop in. Jake's stomach twisted. Rachel's in deeper than I thought. I've got to tell her, he texted her. Found more on Victor. He's buying land to tank the merger. Be careful tonight. Rachel's phone buzzed as she and Oliver left the office, heading for the resort where the investors were gathering. She read Jake's text, her heart pounding. Victor's not just after your company, she told Oliver, showing him the message. He's after the land. Oliver's face darkened. Then we end this tonight. They arrived at the resort, a sprawling oasis on Miami Beach with palm-lined paths and ocean views. The investor meeting was set for a grand ballroom, but Rachel felt like they were walking into a trap. Marcus met them at the entrance, carrying a laptop with the backed-up files. We've got everything, he said. The recordings, the emails, enough to expose Victor and Sophia. Rachel clutched the USB drive, her resolve hardening. Let's do this. As they entered the ballroom, the crowd buzzed with anticipation. Sophia stood near the stage, her red dress a beacon, whispering to a man who could only be Victor. Tall, with Oliver's eyes but a colder edge. Rachel's pulse raced. This was it. The moment to confront the truth. But as they stepped forward, Sophia turned, her smile predatory. Oliver, Rachel, so glad you could join us. The investors are eager to hear about your little adventure. Rachel felt Oliver's hand brush hers, a silent promise. The stage was set, but the final play was theirs. What would happen when the truth came out? Would it save their love or destroy everything? The answers are moments away, and the showdown on the beach is closer than ever. Keep watching, because the climax is coming, and it's going to change everything. The grand ballroom of the Harrington Resort on Miami Beach glowed with opulence. Chandeliers casting golden light over tables draped in white linen. The hum of conversation from Miami's elite, investors, influencers, and corporate tycoons, filled the air. But Rachel felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff. Her hand gripped the USB drive, its weight a reminder of the truth she and Oliver were about to unleash. Beside her, Oliver stood tall, his presence steady but his eyes flickering with the same nervous energy she felt. Across the room, Sophia's red dress was a beacon of confidence, her arm linked with Victor's as they schmoozed the crowd. The stage was set for a showdown, and the document in Rachel's purse, a contract exposing the Ecolux merger's true intent, held the power to topple their plans. But as the moment of truth loomed, one question hung heavy. Would exposing the conspiracy save Rachel's father's sanctuary and her budding love with Oliver? Or would it cost her everything? The neon pulse of Miami waited outside, and the answers were about to crash in like a wave. Stay with us, because this is where secrets unravel, hearts are tested, and a love worth fighting for finds its way. What happens when the truth lights up the night? Rachel took a deep breath, her sundress feeling out of place among the glittering gowns. You ready for this? She whispered to Oliver, her voice barely audible over the clink of champagne glasses. He squeezed her hand, his touch grounding her. With you, always. Marcus slipped through the crowd, laptop under his arm, his face set with determination. The projector's ready, he murmured. We've got the emails, the recordings, everything. Just say the word. Rachel nodded, her heart pounding. She glanced at Sophia, who was laughing with an investor, her charm a perfect mask. Victor stood nearby, his cold eyes scanning the room, landing on Oliver with a smirk. Rachel's stomach twisted. This wasn't just about a merger anymore. It was personal. The MC took the stage, tapping the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's presentation from Harrington Resorts and Ecolux Corp. Let's hear from Oliver Harrington. The crowd applauded as Oliver stepped forward, his stride confident, but his hand lingering on Rachel's for a moment longer. She followed, clutching the document, her resolve hardening. This was for her dad's sanctuary, for the truth, for whatever was growing between them. Oliver faced the crowd, his voice steady. Thank you all for being here. Tonight was meant to unveil a partnership with Ecolux, but there's something you need to know first. Murmurs rippled through the room. Sophia's smile faltered, and Victor's smirk vanished. Rachel stepped up beside Oliver, holding up the USB drive. This, she said, her voice clear, proves the merger was a lie. It wasn't about sustainability. It was about selling protected lands, including a sanctuary in the Keys my father fought for. Gasps echoed. An investor in a pinstripe suit stood. What's this about, Harrington? Marcus plugged the USB into the projector, and the screen lit up with Elena's emails, detailing the plan to frame Rachel for leaking merger details. The recordings from Jake played next, Victor's voice, cold and calculating. We make Oliver look incompetent, pin the leak on the guide, and take the company. Sophia's voice followed. The island's a gold mine. Once it's ours, we sell it to the highest bidder. The room erupted in whispers. Sophia stepped forward, her face pale but her voice sharp. This is nonsense! Fabricated lies to sabotage our deal. Victor grabbed her arm, hissing, Stay quiet! But Rachel wasn't done. She held up the document, her voice rising. This contract shows Ecolux planned to bypass environmental laws. They used me to scout the island, thinking I'd be their scapegoat. But we're exposing you, tonight. An older woman in the crowd, a known environmental advocate, stood. Is this true, Ms. Lang? You targeted protected land? Sophia stammered, her charm crumbling. We were exploring options. Enough! Oliver cut in, his voice like steel. The merger's off. Harrington Resort stands for integrity, not greed. And Rachel! He turned to her, his eyes soft. She showed me what that means. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others glaring at Sophia and Victor. Marcus stepped forward, addressing the investors. We have the original files, untampered. Harrington Resorts will move forward with true sustainability, starting with protecting the Keys sanctuary. Victor lunged toward the stage, his face red. You can't do this, Oliver. The company's mine! Security moved in, escorting Victor and Sophia out as the crowd watched, stunned. Rachel's heart raced, but Oliver's hand found hers, steadying her. You did it, he whispered. The investors applauded, some approaching Oliver with renewed interest. Rachel exhaled, the weight lifting. But as they stepped off the stage, she pulled him aside. Was that all true? About protecting the island? Oliver met her eyes, his voice raw. Every word. I didn't know the full extent of their plan until you showed me. You made me see what matters. Rachel's heart softened, but doubt lingered. No more secrets? None, he promised, his hand brushing her cheek. I want you in my life, Rachel. For real, she smiled, the warmth of his touch melting her fears. Then let's do this right. The scene shifted to the beach outside the resort, the same isolated stretch where the story began. The sun was rising now, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Rachel stood with Oliver, the document still in her hand, but its power spent. Spotlights from the resort illuminated the sand, and the crowd of investors watched from the balcony as Marcus played the final recording, sealing Victor and Sophia's fate. Their conspiracy was exposed, their credibility shattered. As the investors dispersed, Rachel and Oliver stayed on the beach, the waves a soft lullaby. What now? She asked, looking up at him. Now, Oliver said, pulling her close. We build something real. Together. Weeks later, the Miami sun shone bright over a small ceremony in the Florida Keys, on the very island Rachel's father had loved. Rachel wore a simple white dress, her hair loose, as she stood beside Oliver, who looked at her like she was the only person in the world. Mia, radiant as maid of honor, winked at Rachel, while Jake, finally at peace, stood as best man, his smile genuine. I never thought I'd find this, Oliver said, slipping a ring on her finger. You showed me what home feels like, Rachel laughed, tears in her eyes. And you showed me adventure doesn't have to mean losing what matters. They kissed, the crowd of friends and family cheering, the ocean sparkling behind them. Harrington Resorts announced a new partnership with Miami Wild Adventures, funding eco-tours and protecting the sanctuary. Rachel's agency thrived, her father's legacy secure. Back in Miami, Mia took over the agency's expansion, her sharp mind turning it into a success. Jake found his own path, captaining a new eco-tour boat, his heart lighter. Victor and Sophia faded into obscurity, their reputations ruined, while Marcus remained Oliver's trusted ally, ensuring the company's new direction. As Rachel and Oliver walked along the beach, hand in hand, planning their next adventure, Miami pulsed around them, a city of dreams, secrets, and second chances. The sanctuary was safe, their love was real, and the future was theirs. What happens when two hearts brave the storm together? They find a love that shines brighter than the Miami sun. Stay with us, because this is just the beginning of their journey, and the next adventure is always around the corner.